Hello. Oh, I'm not sure if this is working at all. My uh, YouTube live panel. There we go. Okay, yes, it is working. Yay! This is the first time I'm trying a live broadcast using OBS uh, on the Windows partition of my computer. I had some troubles. I hope that the audio is okay for who knows what reason, neither my internal microphone nor my USB microphone were registering sound at all, so I'm using the microphone on my earbuds, which is not great. I apologize for that. But I wanted to give an update on life. Yay! So, those of you who have been following along on other social media platforms will already know that I am currently in New Zealand. I came here in May. Um, Things in the US are a little bit scary right now, you might have noticed. And my passport was um, well, let's just say there was drama around my passport. And when I finally got a new passport, it has this lovely face and says female, which is basically just an invitation to harassment every time I have to pull that passport out. So I am not planning to go back to the United States until that gets fixed. But I do have a new Israeli passport that has the correct name and gender, and does not invite people to harass me for that reason, though it is an Israeli passport, so I guess it kind of invites harassment for other purposes. Whatever. Sigh. Anyway, um, so that's a big update, but an even bigger update is that yesterday, on the 31st of uh, August 2025, the 7th of Elul, uh, 5785, I um, I gave a presentation to the annual general meeting of the members of Canterbury Hebrew Congregation in Christchurch, New Zealand. After having done a weekend visit down to Christchurch, I led services there and taught some classes and did a hospital visit and got to meet a bunch of people. Um, Back a few weeks ago, and then I've been speaking with board members and a couple of the members, and I have been looking for grants to apply for and other things that will help us grow the community. And yesterday, the membership that was present at the meeting voted uh, to have the board of directors sponsor my religious worker visa so that I can stay in New Zealand and be the spiritual leader of Canterbury Hebrew Congregation. I'm hugely amused at the idea that I'm going to be the rabbi of Christchurch. It's maybe that's going to get old eventually, but right now it just hits my funny bone so hard. Uh, anyway, so that's my big news. I'm still terrified that something is going to go wrong. The logical side of my brain is saying like, why would I not get this visa? There's no reason for me not to get this visa. Uh, but the other side of me, the traumatized child side of me, I guess, is like something could still go wrong. Don't jinx it. But Be'ezrat Hashem, with the help of God, we will get through this. And some months from now, who knows? It could take a long time. It could take 6 to 9 months before I actually get that visa. Um, Depending on a bunch of different factors. Uh, but yes, things are now in the works, and officially everybody is on board. Uh, there was apparently one guy who voted no, um, but I feel like that's actually a good sign, right? It's not completely unanimous. There's one dude there whose response was, "We've been doing just fine being lay led. We don't need a rabbi here." Uh, and so that just means I've got to prove my worth, prove my value to the community. Um, and I fully intend to do that. Uh, and hopefully in time, he's gonna be pleased. He's gonna be glad that the community brought me in and has will have helped expand the community, build more resources, more opportunities for learning, less pressure on the volunteers, etc., as well as working with the team of volunteers to do fundraising, grant writing, and things like that. So that's super exciting. Ah, um, I will probably be taking a trip to Israel sometime within the next 12 months, probably, because since I haven't been in Israel for 10 years, I didn't actually get a passport. I got something called a Teudat Ma'avar, a travel document, which is only good for 1 year at a time, unless I go to Israel. And then once I travel to Israel, then I can get the document updated so that it's a full 5 years. And I may need to do that sooner rather than later in order to have uh, enough time on my passport to be able to actually get that visa. So possibly right after the Hagim, right after the high holidays, I may be heading to Israel for a little while, which um, I'm kind of excited about. I haven't been back there since 2010, apparently. Um, yeah, since my grandson was a year old. I went to the US for what I thought was going to be 3 months. And while I was in the US, my boyfriend dumped me. And since we were about to move in together and I had given up my other apartment and no longer had a place to live anymore, he moved into that apartment with somebody else. Uh, the startup company that I was working for closed down, and somebody went to the sports body for figure skating in Israel, and managed to argue while I was absent that my American coaching certification should not count as a coaching certification in Israel because it was not equivalent to the Russian coaching certification, which is the certification that everybody else in Israel who is a certified coach has. So I wasn't going to be allowed to coach my figure skaters, which was the whole reason I was in the US at the time. Yeah, because I was coaching a skater through a bunch of competitions over the summer so that she would be able to enter into the military as an elite athlete and continue her training and continue competing. So yeah, I had nothing to go back to. Like obviously I had the country to go back to, but I had a 12-year-old kid or 11-year-old kid and no job, no house, and I was about to have to start over everything from scratch with nothing, from zero. And I just did not have the resources to do that, so I never went back. So it's gonna be an interesting adventure getting to go and visit uh, and see things. And I don't know how long I'll be there, whether it's going to be just a few weeks or whether I'll end up going and staying there until we get my visa, which could mean I'd be there for a few months. So who knows? I could end up working over there for a little while. I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of unknowns. Um, Yeah. So last week I traveled down to Wellington. That was my first time in Wellington, which is the capital of New Zealand. It's right down near the very south part of the North Island. And wow, what a gorgeous city. I am in love with that city. Um I know that if I lived there, I would lose a lot of weight because the hills, oh my goodness. I walked basically everywhere while I was there, and I came home sore. A lot of hills. Um, but it reminds me of San Francisco of my youth, but also not. It was great to go down and hang out by the waterfront, and I met some really wonderful people there. I got the opportunity to visit the Wellington Progressive Synagogue, Temple Sinai, and meet Rabbi Joellen. Had a lovely talk with her, uh, and she and I have uh, a lot of uh, a lot of similar opinions about a lot of things about creating a space because we're such a small Jewish community here, creating a space where all the Jews can come together and find home despite our disagreements, despite our differences. Really sort of big tent pluralist space. Uh, and we talked a lot about that, about the pluralism of tiny Jewish communities and the challenges of making sure that everybody's spiritual and community needs are taken care of. And those are all things that are very near and dear to my heart. So I I look forward to future visits to Wellington. Um, Yeah, so I feel like when I first got here to Hamilton, I was just sort of walking around and exploring the area or, hopping on a bus and going somewhere. I told a friend that it felt like a video game map, that I had some sense that there was like a vague boundary of what Hamilton is, but it was all just sort of fuzzy. And every time I would go and explore, the map would fill out with details, just like on a video game. Um, and so now that metaphor is sort of expanded. I have like spaces in Auckland that are filled out with details in my mental map of New Zealand, and I have you know an area of Hamilton that's fully filled out in my head, and now I have some Christchurch area that's filled out and detailed, and some Wellington area that's filled out in details, and then the rest of New Zealand. In my brain, it's just sort of like this vague. There's trees and there's volcanoes. Um, surrounded by water and with rivers and lakes inside of it. Uh, but little by little, I'm getting to fill out that map more and more. So yeah, that's the basic update. You may notice that I'm sounding a little funny. I am so sick. Nota bene, when you fly, wear a mask. I I usually wear masks on planes. I've become lackadaisical about that since I got here to New Zealand. That was a very bad idea. And it's as if God or the angels wanted to remind me that I should do this. Because on my flight down to Wellington, I had an aisle seat. I got into my seat, and right before the plane took off, this lady like rushes into the plane. She comes in, I get up and I let her sit down. She's got nothing. She's got no carry-on luggage with her, anything like that. All she has is a box of facial tissues She sits down and she's snuffling and she just sounds like she's so miserable. And as she's buckling her seatbelt, she says, "I'm really sorry. I'll try not to breathe on you." And I'm like, no. Mind if I don't laugh? Yeah, I'm doing much better today though. I had a couple days where I could just barely get out of bed, and yesterday, uh, thanks to the power of paracetamol, I was able to get through my presentation. And as soon as I was done with my presentation, uh, to the community down in Christchurch, I like turned off my computer and went to bed. Um, yeah, so school starts back up in 2 days. So right now it's September 1st for me, but those of you in the Western Hemisphere uh, are, well, I guess actually, yep, it's still yesterday for you. It's still yesterday. So happy yesterday. I hope your yesterday is treating you well. So it's August 31st for those of you in the Western Hemisphere. So school starts on September 2nd in New York. So for me, that's September 3rd. Uh, Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 1 o'clock in the morning. I will be in the Zoom for class. I have got another very difficult term. I am taking, I think, 14 credits this term, plus one non-credit class. I will survive. I will. I'll get through this. I got through it last term. It was hard. It was challenging, but I got through it. I don't plan to continue to speed run for much longer. I'm trying to get as many credits in as possible to shorten the amount of time that it's going to take me to get this degree and to get SMIFA through AJR. Part of it is a financial thing. I'm taking basically the amount of classes that gives me the cheapest per credit costs. So, um, yeah, cheapest per credit cost, and for right now, when I don't have any other income, also the maximum in student loans. I am taking out a stupid amount of student loans. I'm going to be paying them off for the rest of my life. This is kind of terrifying, but it's basically the only way I can do it at this point. Once I've got a you know, even a moderate level of income coming in. I I might even drop down to one or two classes per term that I can pay cash as I go, even though that's going to take me a lot longer to get through the program. If I'm settled here in New Zealand, have a job, I feel like I can just plod forward. It's not like I'm gonna get my smicha and suddenly run away to another place that's got a community that can pay me more. Um, if I'm here and I'm doing useful work, even if the pay is not as great as it could be someplace else, I'd really like to focus and commit to doing the work that I can do here, as long as I'm continuing to help build and support and grow the community, um, then yeah, I'd like to be able to commit to this. Who knows? Who knows what the future will hold? It may turn out, I mean, who knows? It may turn out that I don't manage to really do much benefit to the community at all, and they really are just the same as they were with purely lay leadership, and volunteers only. In which case, okay, so I move on to something else where I can actually be of more benefit. It could be that I am able to do a lot for an amount of time, and then after that, like they don't really need me here anymore, and then I'll be off to something else. But we shall see. Um, people ask me like, are you gonna get residency in New Zealand when you can? I don't. I just don't know. The future is kind of like that map. It's all very fuzzy. Um, I just want to do the good things that I can in the world while I still have breath in me, and I'm just gonna keep putting one foot in front of the other, in front of the other, and taking it as it comes. That's all. So yeah, and uh, by the way, I have been posting over at my other channel, Beit Hakerem. If you're interested in learning what the words of Adon Olam mean, and like learning some prayer book Hebrew by taking apart Adon Olam, go over there. There's the start of a series on that. I'm going to continue posting a few videos per week at that channel. After we go through Adon Olam, we're going to be going through other prayers. I'm also going to be uh, giving some hints on how to learn how to lane Torah. There's lots of places that will teach you the melodies, so I'm not going to focus on that nearly as much. I'll point you in the direction of my favorites of that, but mostly I'm going to talk about some of the tricks about how to learn the trope as a whole, and how to go from like I know the melodies for each of the tropes, but being able to learn an aliyah so that I can go read it on Shabbat, this Shabbat. How do I get there? So I'll be talking about some of those things over there too, if you're interested. All right, thanks, y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye.